This is my informative speech. Kind of that. This is my note card. Here is my wolf card. And now for my audience. Okay. Okay. And the topic that I chose to focus on, because it has civic engagement severely, is human trafficking. Okay. What I wanted to start off with is a chart of the numbers compared to Nevada, nationally versus Nevada. And as you can see here, the higher the cases get, the more we seem to trend along with it, which is kind of embarrassing if you think about it. 9,000 cases in the year 2017, and here we are just a few thousand cases behind. That's thousands of lives that go missing every day in the state of Nevada, and people don't talk about it enough. We are tied 9th in the country, top 10 for people going missing, and no one talks about it. And I got that information from UNLV.edu, specifically Visionariv 2019. And unfortunately, most of these numbers will go to be sexually exploited. Most of those won't go to labor, they will just straight up be sexually exploited. And what exactly is human trafficking? I got this definition off the justice.gov site. If you just want to scan over that, it's the dictionary definition, but I like to define human trafficking as a crime, death penalty. I like to describe human trafficking as a crime against humanity. That's how I choose to describe human trafficking. And what I wanted to focus on next is how does this affect Nevada? Because we are focusing on Nevada specifically. What people tend to forget is exactly how much traffic goes inside of Nevada. How many people will go through Nevada just to get to California. And most of the time, they'll stop by Vegas because they're like, oh my God, Las Vegas, let's take a trip. And not everyone makes it out of Vegas. That's the sad part. Vegas is gonna have higher numbers than Reno when it comes to missing people, but that does not mean that Reno is 100% safe. Reno also has extremely high numbers for human trafficking. And I got this information off of the humantraffickinghotline.org website. And the profile of a victim, which I feel like goes overlooked most of the time, is that it's literally anyone. Just because you're not living in a low-income neighborhood, just because you're a white person, blonde hair, blue eyes, does not mean that you are safe. Because yes, most of the time the people that go missing will have a certain profile, but that does not mean you are 100% safe. Males have this unconscious bias that they're not gonna go missing, I'm a dude. You're gonna go missing, dude. You fit the profile, which is anyone. And that's not to provoke fear, it's to provoke that feeling of uncomfortableness, because we need to embrace that more. Because the more that we ignore this issue, the bigger it gets. And I also got that from humantraffickinghotline.org. And the Nevada policies, which is my biggest point in this presentation, is the fact that after you human traffic, doesn't matter for how long, you can plead it down to a misdemeanor. After you human traffic and after you do it to who knows how many people, because there's not a certain limit, you can plead it down to the misdemeanor, you still have the right to vote, you still have the right to buy a gun, and you can easily go out and do it again. You only have a misdemeanor. Not to mention, the punishment is only worse if you traffic undocumented immigrants. That's the only time that the punishment gets worse. Why is it only worse for undocumented immigrants? Why can't it be worse for everyone? Why can't we go straight to a felony? Because why are these people allowed to plead it down to a misdemeanor? And the maximum fine is $50,000, which may seem like a large amount, but when you traffic thousands of people and you've been doing this for how long, and when you're very well aware of what you're doing, $50,000 is not enough. And to end, I wanted to touch on what we can do as civilians, which is spread awareness. Don't assume that you're 100% safe. I don't care how small the town is, you never know. and assuming that you're 100% safe leads to that false sense of safety, because unfortunately human trafficking is an ongoing issue. And something else that we can do is not forget about this, because 5 to 10 people go missing every day. 5 to 10 people. And I should have mentioned this earlier, but building back on those cases that were mentioned, how many of those weren't reported? Because how many vulnerable people went missing but no one cared enough to report them missing? Which is probably a very large number that we just aren't aware of, because people tend to turn the blind eye, because again, this makes them uncomfortable, which you should be embracing cases that make you uncomfortable, because it's human trafficking. The end.